Hello, good evening, and welcome. I'm John Lazarus with Stories Matter and D&E Publishing. Is there a better feeling in the world than writing the end at the bottom of your manuscript? Well, of course there is. But while that feeling might not match the highs of bareback penetration, autoerotic asphyxiation, or other sensations it would be inappropriate to mention, it can still be a cause for celebration. After all, you've done something that only 50, maybe 60 million people can say they've done. But before you rush that manuscript off to the publishers or nail it to your local church door, you might want to run it past a beta reader. We'll discuss the do's and don'ts of working with beta readers on this edition of Stories Matter. Today's video is brought to you by email. This easy-to-use form of electronic communication is fast, effective, and easy to use. With email, you can stay in contact with loved ones, coworkers, and large corporations who want nothing more than to make your life better. Unlike other forms of communication, email also lets you easily ignore messages you don't care about and discreetly delete them when people ask why you didn't respond. And for the elderly out there, subscribing to email lists can be a great way to connect with the world and feel cared about when everything else in your life says otherwise. Go to hotmail.com to see if email is right for you. So, what do we exactly mean when we say beta readers? Well, the name beta readers comes from Betamax, an early 80s home video format. This format was constantly used by beta heads, or just betas for short, who would videotape their wives having sex with more virile men in order to learn the ways to improve their lovemaking. A beta reader, then, is a reader who reads an unpublished manuscript to similarly help you improve upon it. They are there to identify weaknesses like plot holes, irrelevant tangents, poor character motivation, inconsistent voice and tone, obvious self-inserts, shitty fonts, poor line spacing, overly thinly veiled threats to public figures, sex scenes that are too graphic, sex scenes that aren't graphic enough, insufficient product placement, love stories that are basically the plot of King Kong, anything that threatens your success in the Chinese market, and love stories that are basically the plot of Godzilla vs. Kong. Where to find betas and who makes a good beta reader? It'll be tempting to rely on friends and family, but resist this urge. If you're anything like me, your few surviving ones are so bitter and envious of your success that it's not likely you'll get an honest appraisal. Your first and best option is prisoners. Any great writer worth his salt has 2 or 3 wardens in his contact list. I mentioned this in my video on how to fight writer's block, but while there I was using men through the work release program to enact physical harm if I missed a deadline, here you'll want people safely locked behind bars. Prisoners make such great beta readers for many reasons. They have plenty of free time on their hands. Their lives of brutal hardship and lack of social graces make them honest and unlikely to placate you and your insecurities. And while it's only natural to verbally and physically threaten your harshest critics with violence, you'll resist that urge the moment you read their rap sheet. And that's great because beta readers are here to help you improve your writing. But finally, prisoners make great beta readers because you don't want to rely on the same beta readers for each project. Once your beta reader is already accustomed to your voice and writing style, it'll be more difficult for them to be honest with you. But with prisoners, you have an inexhaustible supply, and likely by the time you finish your next project, most of the ones you used last time will have been released, transferred, put in solitary, or executed. What sort of feedback to look for? Well, this is very specific to the project that you're working on. It'll be beneficial to send a list of questions to your beta reader. Here's some from my most recent project, a young adult mystery set in a Victorian-era girls' boarding house, Lady Astor's Flock. Are there too many descriptions of female breasts, or not enough? Which female character's breast did you enjoy most reading about? Did it feel like the breasts lacked strong character motivation? Was the progression of the breasts throughout the story convincing? Did the dialogue about the breasts sound natural to you, even the parts concerning the fake breasts? Through this process, my prisoners were quick to inform that I'd neglected the breasts far too often. I'd, in a rather sexist way, I'm sad to admit, spent too much time having my female characters talking about the men in their life, instead of celebrating the unique individuality of their own breasts. Also, ask them to supply their reasons with whys instead of should. When I didn't make that clear, I got a lot of unhelpful suggestions like, you should include photos of the breasts in the manuscript, or you should include a scene where the prisoners beat the judge to death with dozens of gavels. Now I get better suggestions like, I don't understand this because it's easier to sucker punch a guy and steal his keys than to hotwire a car. How to handle feedback. The first thing to remember is that your readers are basically doing this for free. A kind word to the parole board is the least you can do for people who took the time to give you 6 or 7 helpful tips. Also, while you may feel safe to give the ones on death row a piece of your mind, just remember that you're never more than an exonerating piece of DNA evidence or a governor's stay of execution from having to move to a new town. Also, you don't have to implement every single piece of advice you're given. I found pedophiles didn't give particularly useful feedback, perhaps because they spent so much of the day worrying about getting murdered and were easily distracted from the task at hand. Attempted murderers are also not great, as much like aspiring writers, they constantly project their failure and self-hatred onto others. Thieves, particularly car and art thieves, I found to have a really good attention to detail, and while bomb makers, if you can find one, work best, even if they struggle from the same god complex that most authors do. That's all for today. Make sure you like and hit that subscribe button, and if you haven't already, I'll leave you with this week's Author Quote of the Week. See you on the next one.